Our next session explores the theme as timeless as it is urgent, the freedom to question, the courage to defy, and the power of written word of record truth. I would like to welcome uh, a duo of a daughter and a father on the stage. Mr. Chander Mohan, a veteran journalist, a columnist, and the distinguished editor of the Hindi daily Veer Pratap for over 40 years. He was born in Lahore in pre-partition Punjab. He has been a fearless voice in vernacular journalism, chronicle India's political and social shifts with integrity and courage. Mr. Chander Mohan, I would please request you to come on stage. Followed by Jyotsna Mohan, an award-winning writer and journalist whose career spans nearly 3 decades across television, print, and digital media. A former senior editor and anchor on NDTV. She's author of Stoned, Shamed, Depressed, a powerful exploration of urban teen lives, and co-author of Pratap, a defiant newspaper. Her writing and podcast, Table Talk with Joe, continue her family's fearless tradition of questioning the status quo. Please, we welcome you, Jyotsna Mohan, on the stage. And none other than our lovely Jyoti Malhotra, the editor-in-chief from Tribune, to come and get some more truth out of both the father and the daughter. Thank you, ma'am. The stage is all yours.
We'll need another mic. Beach mein, sir. Beach mein aa ja. No, not beach mein. Is it okay for you to?
Yeah, you come here.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Say yes. Once again, thank you so much to Rahul and Nilofer and to the Kasoli Literature Festival for having me and for having this incredible session on this amazing book called Pratap, a Defiant Newspaper. And I hope all of you are going to buy this book if you haven't already at the end of this session. The authors are both with me, Mr. Chander Mohan and Jyotsna, his daughter. But the story is really about Mr. Chander Mohan and his family, who ran this newspaper called Veer Pratap for decades, actually, in pre-partition India. And it's a bit like the Tribune, which is my newspaper. I'm the editor of the Tribune, and the story of the Tribune and the story of Veer Pratap are interlinked in some ways, and I'm going to quickly tell you that story. So in 1947, when the partition of India was taking place, and the Tribune is India's oldest daily newspaper. It started in 1881 on the 2nd of February, and in fact, the Indian National Congress was founded afterwards in 1885. I love that story. And it has come out every single day since then, except for 40 days from the 15th of August. So it came out on the 15th of August, 1947, and then on from the 16th to the end of September, so for about 40 to 45 days or so, there was no newspaper, and you can imagine why, because the paper was, people were just coming. And so the Tribune took perhaps the last sort of trucks out of Lahore, protected by the army. And guess what? The story of Veer Pratap, I'm getting goosebumps even as I'm telling that story, sir, is that, Mr. Chander Mohan's family, they wanted to bring their newspaper out of, what was to become Pakistan. It had become Pakistan, I think, on the 14th of August. So, the family brought as much as they could of the newspaper, and with the people of the Tribune came out together, out of Lahore and into what was to become India. So, that's just an incredible story, and I'm so privileged to be talking to you both. And welcome to this session. Welcome, Jyotsna. Jyotsna is a fellow journalist with NDTV for many years and now runs her own amazing podcast lives in Abu Dhabi. I don't know why. She should be back here. But
Give me a
welcome.
job.
Yes. So the first question to you, sir, which is, so this is in two parts. I'd like to ask the question. Firstly, why did you write the book?
Before that, if you give me a minute, please. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting us. I've been brought up reading the columns of Mr. Khushwant Singh. People talk about his jokes, especially his Sardar jokes, and the very popular one is about Nargis. But for me, what stands out about Mr. Khushwant Singh is his humanism, his secular beliefs, his liberalism. He was a total, I would say he represented what was the best in India. He was India Singh. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. And second, I've come to Kasauli after 10 years. It's sad to see the state of Khushwant Singh's Kasauli. Too much construction, too many vehicles, pollution, roads are bad. So can I make a humble suggestion, both to the literary society and to the editor of Tribune sitting next to me? Kindly take up the cause of Khushwant Singh's Kasauli, please. It needs to be restored to its prime, what we saw when we were growing up in these hills. It's no longer the same hill station, and it's really very sad to,
And where I studied. So for me, it's really horrible because I studied in Sinar, and for me to watch this coming up, I said, my God, there's a bowling alley too.
Okay, now coming back to this book, why the book you asked me. There's a couplet of Sahir Ludhianvi. जिस अफसाने को अंजाम तक ले जाना हो नामुमकिन, उसे खूबसूरत मोड़ देकर छोड़ना अच्छा. We realized, we shut down the paper, but we needed a closure. There were stories to be told. She was very insistent कि पापा लिखनी है. So I said कि कौन पढ़ेगा? But then I realized there were stories and stories, inside stories, that people did not know about the unknown soldiers of the freedom struggle. We known about Gandhiji, we known about Nehru, Bose, but there were hundreds of them, including my father. He was in the same jail, Central Jail, Lahore, 23rd March, 1931, when Bhagat Singh was hanged in that jail. The eyewitness account of that particular date, I don't know if you have time, Jyotsna can read it out for you, is also in the book. So the whole history of the newspaper, as well as the family, my grandfather, my father, there was a time during the British period when all the men were in jail. Their history. The paper started 2 weeks before Jallianwala Bagh massacre and was promptly shut down for 1 year. And even then, after totally harassment by the British, the editors were jailed, the family was tormented, the houses were raided, and all that carried on, but the paper refused to bow before them. So that all is there, and that, I think, was the reason we decided to write this book.
Jyotsna, why did you write the book with your father? And why your father? And why?
Is that a tricky question?
Yes.
I'm the messenger of this book. He's lived many, many parts of this book. I was unfortunately very young when we lost my grandfather. So as sometimes time runs out. There are many things that I remember. I was also very young when terrorism hit the family. But I do remember a bit, but he lived right through it. I've always been aware that there is a legacy. And in the times where history is being tweaked and we are getting new versions of that history, it's very important to bring out first-hand accounts that are factual, that are correct, and that represent real history. So keeping that in mind, and also I was very aware that there was one part that needed to be added, which was our story on Punjab. A story, that's the reason that this book, I mean, a lot of people have asked me, why didn't you write this book earlier, which we could have. But the very fact that I had to convince my father and my mom that we need to write our chapter of Punjab, because we've heard the story of Operation Blue Star, we've heard what happened in 1984, and we don't take away anything from both of those episodes, but we just felt that there was one little story that needed to be added to complete the Punjab picture, and once I managed to convince them, we had the book.
You know, that's the thing, and I'd like all of you, you see, a lot of you are from Punjab, you live in Punjab or you live in other parts of the country and you come back to the Kasoli Literature Festival. But the story of Punjab, as the story of Pratap, can be told in so many ways. And sir, my question to you is, there is a story of pre-partition Punjab. You know, you talked about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, you talked about how your father was in the same jail as Bhagat Singh, and you know, we'll talk about the Bhagat Singh question. But there is the story, as Jyotsna tells, you know, is briefly referred to, about the fight that the media waged in Punjab during the terrorism years. There was a Hindi newspaper like the Veer Pratap. So there was this, and I'm going to ask you this question, the Hindu versus Sikh question in the Punjab in the terrorism years.
We were sent a parcel bomb on 24th June 1983. Which exploded in our office, killing 2 of our employees, young employees. So we have been through it, we have faced militancy. There were threats to our family. They had to be taken off schools at that time. And ultimately, they used to go with guards and things like to the school, and that is when we decided that the 3 of them needed to be sent out of Punjab. There was a story, I mean, Blue Star. I understand Mr. Chidambaram, I was not here yesterday, that he said it should not have happened. I agree with him totally, it should never have happened. How did we as Indians, as a community, fail so much that we sent tanks into one of the holiest places in India? Why did we allow this to happen? But where I differ is that villains were not only in Delhi, villains were also in Chandigarh, villains were also in Amritsar. That's what we brought out. The villains in Chandigarh and Amritsar, who allowed the holiest place in northern India to be turned into a killa. Why was that allowed? Tanks were sent, Prime Minister assassination, that you may call it pogrom, you may call it massacre, the killing of innocent Sikhs in Punjab. Why did we allow such things to go out of our hands? As a community, as a society, we fail ourselves. And I refuse to hide this fact that there were differences of opinion in the 2 major communities of Punjab.
There were differences of opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Sikhs were talking about the grievances. Punjab ko ye nahi hua, ye nahi hua. The Hindus were talking about the people killed out of buses, people killed out of trains, people shot in shops, as I said, 2 killed in my own office, with no fault of theirs. So there was a total division. I don't know whether it was created deliberate. Some people say it was created to get votes. I don't know. But there was this problem in Punjab that we were divided down the line. Let's not hide it. But we got over it. That's the best part.
I think that story of differences is something that we should all talk about, and that helps us heal, doesn't it? It's a trauma that Sikhs and Hindus and, you know, people of all religions, of all faiths, of all castes faced together. So, so I think that's why your story is such an important one, because it allows us to talk about this trauma and to confront this trauma. You were too young to understand that, Jyotsna, but
You know, it's a misnomer actually that children don't understand. Children internalize. I was 10 when the bomb blast happened, but children internalize a lot more without the ability to speak about it publicly. So while I knew what was going on, there is much that I could not speak about to them because, I mean, what am I going to tell them? That I don't know if my father or my grandfather is going to make it home tonight, every single evening. So there are, you know, there is anxiety. My father and I are actually the lightest sleepers you will find on this planet. We wake up with a shadow. I mean, we don't even need a noise in the room. So there are things that have spilled over the years, you know, you take with you.
You know, Jyoti, the family went through it twice. Once during the British period, my mother went through, my daddy went through, because you know the husband was picked up, the father-in-law was picked up by the British, the houses were raided, and they didn't know when they were going to come back at all. And then the second time was when we were facing, my mother and my wife, they didn't know that the men were going to come back in the evening or not. You know, we talk about the emergency of Indira Gandhi or restrictions, even we talk about what is happening in media today. It's easier to face the government because there are still some checks and balances. क्या कर लेंगे, जेल में डाल देंगे, ED की रेड हो जाएगी, that's the maximum they can do. But facing militancy when you do not know from which side the next bullet is going to come was one hell of a thing. Very tough time to go through.
so I would, you know, my question is that thousands of people were killed, you know, thousands were injured, both Sikhs and Hindus.
Mainly Sikhs. 25,000 were killed. And mainly it was the Sikh policemen, the Sikh militants. Mainly it was the Sikhs in the villages who were targeted due to whatever reason, both sides.
So the Sikhs are falling to the bullets and the Hindus are falling to the bullets, and this is a trauma that, do you think that Punjab, I mean, you live outside now, Jyotsna, you live outside the country, of course you come and go, but do you think that this book, in a sense, has allowed you and your family to talk about these stories, even though it's 40 years later?
Yes, I think there is a closure that they didn't have. I mean, it's not about me. I think it's about my family. It's about my dad. It's about my mom. You know, she was very resistant to this idea about writing it and getting the spotlight back on us after all these years, because she said, "Ab jo ho gaya usko rehne do, ab nahi chahiye," or you know. But I think there was.
She didn't want this excavation of these memories.
A, that, or B, any spotlight on the family once again. She just wanted to stay under the radar, you know. But I think they didn't have closure. When you have two young people dying on your watch for no fault of anybody's, I think that's a heavy weight the family has carried. And I think it has allowed some kind, it's maybe not a closure, but there's catharsis.
So let me take you back to, you know, I want to take you back to pre-independence India, to the story of Veer Pratap, and talk to us about, you know, since as journalists, we are the tellers of stories in many ways. The story of Bhagat Singh and the story of Mahatma Gandhi. You know, in India, we are defined by the stories of the Mahatma. Of course, you have Nehru, and you have Subhash Bose, and you have Lala Lajpat Rai in Punjab, and you have so many stories. But the story, and of course Bhagat Singh. In fact, in my office at the Tribune, I have the page 1 edition of, you know, when Bhagat Singh was hanged, which is a daily reminder of what Punjab has been through, you know, over the last 100 years or so. and prior to that, and of course is still going through. But so that story, you know, how does Mahatma Gandhi and Bhagat Singh, and you talk about it in this book, so I won't say more, but...
Bhagat Singh, now I give you a small incident from the life of Bhagat Singh to compare those people with what we have today. Chandrasekhar Azad was the leader of the revolutionary group. They had no money. He would dole out 4 ana every day to all these revolutionaries for their chola bhatura or whatever they had. Bhagat Singh was very fond of movies. And Chandrasekhar Azad would say कि तो पकड़ा जाएगा तो सिनेमा हॉल में पकड़ा जाएगा. Anyway, Bhagat Singh takes that 4 ana and goes and sees a movie, and he does not have money for food that day. And he doesn't have the guts to ask Chandrasekhar Azad again कि मुझे I have wasted that 4 ana you gave me, and give me 4 ana for my chola bhatura or whatever. Anyway, somebody intervened and it was done. What I'm trying to say is कि वो लोग जिनके पास 4 आना नहीं था, वो किस मिट्टी के बने थे? He did not have 4 annas for his food. He couldn't spend 4 annas to entertain himself because Chandrasekhar Azad did not believe, he was a totally Puritan chap, did not believe in movies. And they didn't have 4 annas. And yet, we remember Bhagat Singh till this day.
So why does the Mahatma
not
understand Bhagat Singh? This Mahatma, the Mahatma of our country.
This we have discussed with many people also. We discussed ourselves also. Because one has always respected the great Mahatma. I still do, the greatest Indian of our times. But somewhere I also believe that at this particular juncture, when these 3 young brave hearts were to be hanged, the great Mahatma failed the nation. I'm saying with all responsibility. Mahatma Ji was involved in a pact with Lord Irwin. He didn't want anything to derail the pact. At one side, the Mahatma is talking to the Viceroy. Other side, the hanging is coming nearer and nearer. And the country is asking him to intervene. Now, Mahatma Ji was totally for non-violence, as we all know. But could there have been a more violent act than to hang 3 people from their neck? Why did the Mahatma not sit on a dharna against this extreme act of violence? इससे बड़ा क्या हो हिंसा क्या हो सकती है कि आप 3 आदमियों को गले से फांसी लगा दो? Mahatma Ji did not act, and I think you can quote here.
I was actually going to just read about, do you have a question? No, I was actually just going to read about the last moments of Bhagat Singh as narrated by my grandfather, as he was one of the rare rare first-hand accounts. So if you'll just bear with me. So these are my grandfather Virendra's words. So we thought that the hanging would be on the morning of 24th March, but on 23rd March at about 2 p.m., the prison barber came running to us with tears in his eyes and in a quivering voice said, "Sab kuch khatam ho gaya." The Sardar is saying that they would probably be hanged today itself. He has conveyed Vande Mataram to the 2 of you. Bringing his emotions under control, Virendra requested Barkat to go back to Bhagat Singh and ask him for a keepsake that the 2 young men could treasure as a remembrance. Half an hour later, the barber returned. In his hands were a black fountain pen and a comb. On the comb, Bhagat Singh had carved his name with a blunt instrument. Ehsan Ali kept the pen and I the comb. Every evening at 7 p.m., Chief Warder Chander Singh would lock us up after securing all other prisoners. That day he came at 4 p.m. When we asked him why he had come 3 hours early, he became emotional and could not speak. After several minutes, he composed himself and said the end had come. The 3 would be hanged that evening at 7 p.m. Just before 7 p.m., Bhagat Singh, Shivaram Rajguru and Sukhdev Thapar were brought out and taken towards the Phansi Ghar. As they walked, they loudly shouted, "Inqilab Zindabad." Hearing it, the other accused in the conspiracy case responded with equal gusto. Soon the entire jail was reverberating with loud cries of "Inqilab Zindabad." We too joined them. It spread even to the non-political prisoners who started shouting the same slogan. Then there was deadly silence. That night, no one ate in the central jail of Lahore and no one slept. Only the chief warder Chander Singh could tell us what had happened. We had many questions when he came in the morning, but he burst out crying. With tears streaming down his face, he said, "I'm a government servant and I have seen many hangings, but I have never seen such bravery in facing the gallows before." He said to him that as there were only a few minutes left of his life, he should remember Vaheguru. Hearing him, Bhagat Singh laughed, saying, "Sardarji, throughout my life, I have never remembered him. Looking at the atrocities against the poor and the downtrodden, I may even have reprimanded him sometimes. Now, with death standing right in front of me, if I remember him, he will say that this young man is both dishonest and a coward. But if I do not change my views about him, he would say that this young man was both honest and brave." Saying this, Bhagat Singh started his walk to the Phansi Ghar.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open this up to the House. We have 10 minutes. Hanji. Hanji.
The entire myself
is a freelance journalist from Chandigarh, Khushwant. So my question to you is, I have been to Lahore last year and I was been to the office where we used to be, you have the office. So my question to you is, like the entire story of Pratap is the pre-partition Punjab. And when there is a partition policy,
Punjabi is apna sabana.
मेरा सवाल ये है कि जब पंजाब ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ partition ਵਾਲਾ ਸਾਰਾ politics ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ. There was no strong hold of the Congress and the Muslim League, the two main players of the partition of Punjab. So then we have the 84 also. What do you think what led to what the role of the press in worsening and improving the situation when it comes to the communal partition and the politics?
Very good question. Excellent question.
Press jada siga pre-partition and post-partition for some time were always very vocal, and unfortunately it got divided into communal lines, and that probably created worse things.
I am Brigadier Kalo, war veteran.
You explained very well
About the situation in Punjab. Now, maximum sacrifices Punjabis have made for the freedom of independence. We all know. I am not calling any division as such. But when the question of Punjab comes, where is the freedom? Where is the democracy? When these people who are completed jail terms, they are not being released. Even Supreme Court, the biggest pillar of democracy, and the other pillar sitting here. What have we done? Thousands, hundreds and thousands of young men. They were taken out from their homes. They are killed. There are so many violations, human rights violations. I request you, even now, the issue must be brought to light.
Thank you for your question, sir. Before I... So I just think that as the teller of we are journalists. We tell your stories. And I hope that we are able to do justice to your stories. So.
Another thing I would like to speak about Punjab, as he's Punjab de baare mein gal karna chahta. I'm talking about the present Punjab. Unfortunately, we seem to have become a stepchild of the central government. आप देखिए, we had floods in Punjab, lakhs affected. All we get is 1,600 crores. And the Prime Minister goes and gives 7,500 crores to the Ladli Behen or whatever in Bihar. पंजाब जहाँ इतनी तबाही हुई है, इन्ने लोग मरे हैं, इन्ने घर उजड़े ने, इन्ने फील्ड तबाही हुई है, अगली फसल आएगी कि नहीं ठीक तरह आएगी ये नहीं पता. सानू 1600 करोड़ रुपया दिता गया. बिहार विच इलेक्शन है कि उत्ते 7500 करोड़ रुपया दिता गया. So this, why is Punjab being treated like this just because Punjab doesn't send BJP MPs to the Lok Sabha? This, as a Punjabi, we need to raise our voices to take up that why are we being neglected? Why are we being treated as a stepchild of the central government?
Okay, the questions from the back.
There's a question at the back. I would just request the lady or the gentleman to stand up, give your name and keep the question brief.
Good afternoon, ji. I'm Gurinder Chino, Chander Mohan ji, Jyotsna ji and Ma'am Jyoti. Yes, this book we talked before that also. You're talking about one bomb blast. Having served as police officer during the Arun days, I have seen killings, bomb blasts, and has been on this spot. So it's a very painful past, very tragic past. But I just want to ask, all three of you are intelligent people. There were killing on both sides. There were killing of the police persons, targeted killings, communal killings, even motivated killings of the Punjabis. But there are so many hidden stories which I know and I can't also confess. But can we propose to the government through your good officers to have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission on the pattern of Africa?
Maybe you should ask somebody to write these stories for you. Write a book.
That I can
cannot, but you can ask somebody to write. These stories need to come out. Definitely these needs to come. Nothing seems to need to be hidden. जो बदसूरत शक्ल पंजाब की थी उस टाइम, that needs to come up. It's okay. We need to see it and we face it and get over with it.
I think that's part of what history is also, right? I mean, we are trying to take off the bad part, or we try to take off the Mughals, but history is also the good and the bad, and the recent past is also the good and the bad.
And we have we have given our point of view. You may not agree with it. It's okay. We are quite all right with that.
So, do you propose Truth and Reconciliation Commission for Punjab? All three of you, if you can.
Jyoti's headline tomorrow.
I think I agree with what you say, sir, Mr. Dillo, and I agree with what Mr. Chander Mohan says. I think we need to talk about what we have all been through.
And get over with it. And get over with it.
We will tell your stories. That's a promise that I can make, is that we will tell your stories. And I think if we talk about these stories honestly, we will be able to overcome or help overcome the trauma. It may take a while, but I think that's why this is a brave book. And I urge you to write a book, Mr. Dillo.
That's what
maybe at the next literature festival, we should discuss your book. The lady at the back, she had a question.
Not a problem.
Can we have the mic? One last question at the back.
Yes, go ahead and ask her question.
No, she's saying after me. No, wait.
Just ask it.
I need the mic.
Can I get the mic there, please? Just a sec, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, lots of authors here. Their responsibility and their commitment is that they will write. so that it becomes history. So please keep sharing your ideas and thoughts and stories with lots of people around. You know, while as there are questions and statements coming for policies to be made, but I think our responsibility as laureates and authors is to record history so that our next generation are aware what we went through. So we'll restrict our views. Just ask brief question, ma'am, with your name.
I'm Dr. Nandini Murli. I don't have a question, but this is more an observation. Is that okay? Can I? Yeah. I so much loved listening to this very, very poignant and profound session. Thank you, the three of you. And Jyoti, I just loved the very fluid way you held the session. I specialize in trauma narratives. I'm a narrative therapist as well, and I have a session shortly. So the thing about trauma narratives is, in this case, it is an intergenerational trauma. And for me, I was placing your book in the framework of a trauma narrative, and this is something I have also lived through, so I'm not talking from the head, not an intergenerational trauma, but nevertheless a very challenging trauma, which I'll be talking about in my session. In trauma narratives, the most important aspect is the narrative agency. Knowing when to own our narratives, when to tell that narrative. So 40 years, I think there's no timeline to it. Right. Probably this is the time when it just felt right. And I also think it's not re-traumatizing. As much as I respect your mother's concern, so I think it's about narrative agency.
No, I think she decided it was all right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
thank you so much for your comment and for your observation. We really appreciate that very much.
I know Mandeep is itching to take over the
one
mic.
last question.
And in the meantime, I just want to say that while we've spoken a lot about Punjab. Punjab is literally just 20% of this book. There is much, much more in the book. Also about, what we didn't get time to discuss is about the evolution or the downgrading of India's media from the time of how media stood for, Pratap was a flag bearer for India's independence, constantly penalized by the British, censored by Indira Gandhi's emergency and so on, to we look at where the media is today. Well, this apple didn't fall very far from the tree, so I'm a fourth generation, but if I'd asked my father, Veer Pratap has closed down, but where would it be today if Veer Pratap was still there? He thinks it's better it was closed down. So I just want to, before I hand you over, just read 4 last lines, kind of defining our book and the journey of this book and our family. ना सर छिपा कर जिए हम, ना सर झुका कर जिए, सितमगर की नज़रों से नज़रें मिला कर जिए, अब अगर एक रात कम जिए तो कम ही सही, ये बहुत है कि मशालें जला कर जिए. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chander Mohan, Jyotsna Mohan, go buy the book outside. It's available in the bookstores and they will sign it for you. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you to Rahul and Nilofer. Thank you for having me back in a place that I've grown up in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jyotsna ji. Thank you, Chander Mohan ji. Thank you, Jyoti Malhotra ji. For the deeply insightful conversation, a reminder that the freedom to write, speak, and question is the heartbeat of any democracy. As we turn the page to our next session, let's carry forward the spirit of curiosity, courage, the very essence of what makes Khushwant Singh literature